British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
I'm Aiden Singh, and these are your noon headlines from the BCIT newsroom. Prime Minister Mark Carney looks northwest today as he wraps up his Vancouver visit to take off for Terrace. The Major Projects Office tour in British Columbia looks to sell out in the small town as Carney is expected to unveil the office's next tranche of investments. Political analysts say that an LNG project nearby might be on the list, as well as a Northern Ontario nickel mine. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was all smiles after hearing the news. But he was less than happy about the lack of progress on other projects that have been in review for months, without confirmation from the office yet. Some patients in Ontario are even more unhappy, as their Patients Ombudsman's Office carried out a record number of investigations last year. Ontario Patient Ombudsman Craig Thompson says his office received just under 5,000 new complaints, a 10% increase over the year before.
We are also revisiting something that we identified last year, which is the increase in complaints related to obstetrical and gynecological care, so care around pregnancy and birth-related care. It was very troubling last year when we talked about that and told the patient stories that came with that. It's troubling this year because those complaints are up 29%.
Thompson says complaints have been continuously rising since his office opened in 2016, which he feels is partially due to an increase in public awareness. New documents show the Public Health Agency of Canada lost more than $20 million worth of pharmaceutical products this year. According to a press release, the national stockpile underwent a temperature deviation, leading to the products going bad. Reporter Karen Ribaud has more on Health Canada's response and what they didn't say.
The figure was reported in the 2025 public accounts, but Health Canada refuses to say what exactly was lost, citing national security implications. The department only says the line item refers to pharmaceutical products, such as vaccines held in the National Emergency Stockpile. That's a stash of medical supplies, vaccines, and more that may be needed to respond to natural disasters, chemical threats, and diseases like COVID-19. The statement also did not say how the temperature deviation happened. It did say the losses will not compromise the stockpile's capacity to respond to public health events. Karen Ribaud, The Canadian Press.
Today marks 10 years since the coordinated terrorist attack that struck Paris. Our reporter Evia Boulay looks back on what happened on that tragic night.
10 years ago, 3 coordinated teams carried out a series of attacks that spread fear across Paris. Armed with guns and explosives, they targeted multiple locations, starting outside the Stade de France during an international soccer match between France and Germany, with more than 80,000 people in attendance. The attackers then moved to nearby cafes and restaurants before storming the Bataclan Theatre. In total, 137 people were killed, and another 416 were injured. Today, Paris and the world remembers the lives lost. Evie Boulay, BCIT News.
Zooming back in, Richmond Therapeutic Riding Association, also known as the RTRA, provides riding lessons for children and youth with physical or cognitive disabilities. They're hosting a pub fundraiser on the 15th after a devastating diagnosis for the program. Reporter Emma Bolsner has more on how an unexpected illness has drained the RTRA's funds.
One of RTRA's lesson horses, Dusty, showed signs of colic, an often fatal condition that causes severe abdominal pain in a horse. Dusty was quickly rushed to an emergency veterinary clinic and is now on the road to recovery. Longtime instructor Rachel Kirkpatrick shares how the vet bill has impacted RTRA's finances and the money she hopes they can raise at Saturday's fundraiser.
This one was $4,500 for her hospital stay, and we rely on donations, fundraising, and grants. So that was a bit of a hit that we have to figure out how to pay.
The fundraiser will be held at the Pioneer Pub. Emma Bolsner, BCIT News.
Rain continues to the afternoon today, highs of 10. This was BCIT News, our stories from 11:30. My name is Aiden Singh. Thanks for tuning in.
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Coming to tuck you in while you're sleeping. Sweet screams.
Halloween. It's a time for kids and adults to celebrate everything spooky and crazy. But what are the underlying factors of Halloween? That's the question that I'm asking.
What I think about Halloween is how people all dress up as a community, they have fun, they have good treats, and then they all come together.
I'm your host, Thomas Adams, here with my co-host, Jonah Jung, and today we will be discussing Halloween on this episode of The Deadly Discussion. And we will be looking at what kind of communities Halloween represents and builds. Welcome back to The Deadly Discussion. I'm your host, Thomas Adams, here with my co-host, Jonah Jung, and today we will be talking about Halloween and how it impacts the community and the correlation between Halloween and the tight-knit bond that the community has.
Yeah, so for me, I think Halloween is a place where, all the people, as I aforementioned, they gather all together. And then you can just knock on the door of your neighbors and say hi, and then just give each other some pleasantries, and then hang out with some kids, go trick or treating.
Yeah, and for me, I found Halloween to be a place that is very, very spooky. We really do a lot.
Whoa! Yeah. Bro, get out of here, get out of here.
For those of you who do not know, I arranged a little ruse to scare my co-host, Jonah. And some other kids at our program here just came and gave him a little scare. What'd you think about that?
That was, the best surprise that I could get. A little bit unexpected. But it lives up to the theme.
You don't even have time to scream.
That is what I think Halloween is kind of all about. It's about ghastly, ghouly things. However, it's really about having fun. That's the thing. And, when I think of fun, I think of a lot of places where you can go trick-or-treating. And, I found one great place to trick-or-treat is Burkeville on Sea Island in Richmond. Now, I chatted with Tomas Ravotsi, president of the Sea Island Community Association, about what events they'll be hosting this year.
The houses along the front lines, so to speak, I hope I'm not making too many military sounding references here, but basically the entrance where people would first show up in our neighborhood, those houses get in excess of 1,000 kids coming to trick or treat. Like around 1,200 is, I think, the number that we had reported. That's the highest number we've heard approximately. And so my house is set back a little bit, so it's a few streets back. And even here, I get between 500 and 700 kids on the night.
Yeah, so that's interesting and very informative comment from your interviewee. And I just learned that is a very small community, and Burkeville is a place where that was built in like 1940s after World War II during the World War II for people who make airplanes to stay and just find housing.
Yeah, I mean, talk about going all out. I mean, I live currently in Marpole, and there's not as many trick-or-treaters. Like, I think my house would get maybe 7 trick-or-treaters each year. Like, the fact that they're getting 700 to 1,200 trick-or-treaters is just kind of mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, so there must be a lot of children. Did he say anything about like how he manages that place or how he keeps it safe?
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors when it comes to Halloween, of course. Arranging where everyone will be walking, and, safety and driving is a lot of things to consider. So, pretty much what Mr. Tomas said was that they're trying to not have cars in Burkeville. They're just trying to have it pedestrian only, and they're preparing for outside visitors because it's become such a hot spot.
Put mitigation sort of measures in place. So we have traffic control that the city offers us. I think the RCMP also, their traffic authority department, also comes to help to control traffic. We have a system of, we experiment with different kinds of systems and different kinds of traffic management plans. But essentially, we kind of have, we try our best to pedestrianize the neighborhood on that night, meaning we provide free parking at BCIT just across the street at the aerospace campus. Again, that's in part thanks to YVR's kindness there, so we're really grateful for that. And there's a walking path right from BCIT, right beside the City of Richmond's fire hall, and it's decorated by city staff, and that leads directly to our neighborhood and to our park. And the park is where our association, we do actually put on a fireworks display at 8:15 or so in the evening. And we fund that, but often at a loss. So that's one thing that, if you don't mind, I'll put in a little plug here. If you do plan to come and visit Burkeville, you may see donation QR codes around the neighborhood. So any support, any donations that you can provide are very welcome. They really help us out because we are a nonprofit organization here.
I do find it so interesting that's all community run, and if people are commuting there, I think it's nice if they help out, because they're attending this event just like any other.
Yeah, I think it was very fascinating that all the community members are doing their best to keep it safe, and then for the Halloween, and then how statistically, a lot of people have died trick or treating, like especially children age from like 4 to 8 die the most on Halloween night, around like 5 to 9 p.m. Normally when people go for trick or treating, and then a lot of cars are coming by. So, like Burkeville, I heard that they're trying to pedestrianize the neighborhood, and also in Vancouver, Lucy Maloney, the Vancouver councillor, suggested a motion that the neighborhood should be able to host a block party to keep the cars off the street so that they can go trick or treating. And
So when I referred to accessibility in the motion, I'm referring to making it easier for people to apply for and receive block party permits, but also at the moment people are required to hire their own barriers to close the streets, and that makes it difficult for some people to be able to organise block parties because they might have to travel to South Vancouver to pick up the barriers and return them. So that rules out a lot of people that if they don't have a car to transport the barriers.
That's great. I think you have to, when you're taking into consider the amount of people that